Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. I'm your host, Chris Fuller.
And I'm Mark Hyde.
And on today's episode, it's another episode at Gedi Music Festival,
Whoop, whoop.
And it's a special episode because
is it special, Fuller?
It's an Ask RTC Anything special. So on today's episode, you've asked us questions, we're going to answer them, and we're going to go forward. Mark, you ready to get in this conversation?
Let's get it.
Let's go.
We have an audience.
Mark Hyde. It's great to be back here at the Gedi Music Festival for another episode.
This is our second episode for RTC here at Gedi.
So it's been a lot of fun so far. We've had some interesting events happen.
Yeah, like I've had 2 snow cones already.
Well, I've had 2 lemonades. We had some popcorn. We've had ice cream. We had some amazing food at Curly's.
Curly's. I have not had an elephant ear yet.
No, we need to get that. We probably need to get some more ice cream.
There's a smoked pizza. Some dude's doing some smoked pizzas over there.
There's a Ben's pretzel. So all sorts of good, yummy food. But some other interesting things that happened. I think, so on the last episode that we recorded, you could hear the music in the background, and the music suddenly stopped.
Just stopped.
Mark, what happened?
So Steven Stanley was up on stage because Stanley Tools, that you helped me with that word association. He was doing his rehearsal and he went from backwards to forwards in his set. So he did the last song first, went backwards, and all of a sudden we heard music and it just stopped dead on a dime. And we're like, okay, what happened? We just continued on. We walked out of our tent after we were done recording, and we found out that he took a step back and completely dislocated his knee. It went from the front to the side.
To the side.
They had to call. They had to call the EMT. Oh, I forgot to turn that down, didn't I?
That's all right. I got you.
My bad. We're turned down now.
Bro.
Thank you. Hey, it just ended. No, so they had to call the ambulance. The EMT showed up. They put him on a stretcher. They sent him to the hospital, and he was the opening of the entire festival.
Yeah.
And they get up on stage, and they're like, we had like what? He had like an hour and a half till
2 hours. I think it was 2 hours.
Showtime, and we're like, what's going to happen? They're like, we don't know.
The bro reset his knee and came back.
The dude, and that means he couldn't be on like Vicodin or drugs because then he wouldn't be able to perform.
Right.
So they set him on a wedge. Knee back in.
They set him on a wedge up on stage.
Yep, and he just sat in a thing. He played an electric guitar, and he just sang his heart out. It was legit.
It was so cool. But then we had another interesting thing happen last night.
So I Am They was playing.
Right.
And then when I Am They was playing, all the power just cut out completely.
Yeah, and we're just like, what happened?
Like it just
died.
All
their vocals, the lights, everything just like...
The LED board just went down.
To find out.
But what was odd, though, because this is where it comes to find out, but I was like, okay, but the cotton candy machine is still lit up. So
we were like,
what happened?
And our tent was still pretty lit up. So it was all good for us. But... So we got to talking with one of our friends, one of our listeners, one of our fellow RTC family members.
Good old Matt.
Matt Grimm. Whose father owns the festival grounds that we're on, the campground.
And he's the guy who... he's the stage manager. And AKA, he's our friend.
He's all friend.
And Matt, if you're listening, bro, we would love to be the MCs next year.
I'm down for that. We will straight up be the MC.
Next year.
We'll introduce everybody. It'd be awesome.
And the only thing I'll put in my contract is you can give me any water, including Dasani. I just want unlimited snow cones. That's all I want.
That's all we need.
It's
just unlimited snow cones.
That's all I want.
But anyway, so come to find out through Matt, we're like, Matt, what happened, man? And he's all like, the photographer unplugged the cord.
He unplugged the master power cord,
and it was like, oh no.
So, but it was so plugged
cool.
it back. Yeah, keep going. You do it.
So it was so cool. So they plugged it back in, obviously right away, and they were trying to get things fired back up. And in the meantime, so they were able to get the vocals and the instruments back up, but not the lights. And everybody pulled out their phones and lit the stage with their phones, and it was so cool. So. It's like one of the things, what the devil meant for bad got turned into good kind of thing. It was an awesome thing, man. It was awesome.
It actually looked really cool with just everyone's flashlights out. They were just playing. Then all of a sudden, the LED board pops on.
Yeah, everything started popping up.
The lights turn on,
it was
and they just kept.
It was like it was meant to be.
Cruising.
Had Matt not had the vocals and the instruments not cut out, nobody would have known anything different, Matt. So you did a good job, Matt. Matt, this has been a fun festival. We appreciate what you and your family do.
And it's been so fun actually being able to meet people and talk with people. You've prayed with someone with stage 4 cancer, which was awesome. We've given away swag bags and we've given away Bibles. We've made new connections. Hopefully we've had some new friends at the podcast.
Heck yeah.
Hopefully we'll be back next year at Gedi Music Fest, because this is just a whole a lot of fun to take RTC on the road, man.
It's been so much fun. And actually, we're coming back next year. We talked to Matt. Matt goes, hey, would you guys want to come back next year? We're like, heck yeah. So I think it's July 21st and 22nd of next year is the next Gedi Music Festival.
I just want unlimited snow cones.
So I know it was kind of short notice for everybody. It was only a couple months' notice
but
this time around.
But you can plan ahead to
we
come
are giving
down
you
to
a year.
southern Michigan to
and
come
we're gonna,
hang out with us.
You're going to hear us talk about it throughout the next year about we're going to gear up to make this a part 2 on the road RTC.
Should we? I mean, I feel like we need to have like an RTC meetup here at Gedi.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hey, we need to have a meetup.
We should figure out a day and a time and be like, listen, if you are a member of the RTC family, come and meet at this tent.
Right, and not just at the tent, but hang out like on Thursday, and then the concert's all Friday, and then all Saturday.
Yeah,
maybe get some discounts for RTC listeners. I don't know. I'm just
we'll talk.
You're
to Matt
bold to Matt's face. I'm bold on the microphone. I'm not looking at.
That's
Matt.
about it. So.
They're doing more sound checks. I think another band's about to go on.
Here we go. So
anywho,
we're not drinking any coffee.
It's too hot.
Well, we got iced coffee
we forgot
for later.
To make iced coffee.
We'll get some. We'll get some in a while. I am drinking a lemonade right now.
I don't have anything.
But you know what we didn't do?
I have hot water.
What we didn't do last episode. We should probably do a Would You Rather.
Oh, we're going back to Would You Rather.
Why not? It's Gedi Music Festival. Anything can happen. Dreams are made here at Gedi.
Or your lights, or you can become lights out on your dreams.
Oh, that's kind of dark.
That's not true.
Jesus can light up your life.
I'm thinking of another Def song. This is what dreams are made of. Hey now, now. Yeah, so, I hope I hit my note. I'm sorry if I didn't.
So
all right, so we're doing this, or we're doing Would You Rather.
We're doing the Would You Rather. Would you rather be hurt with the truth or be comforted with a lie?
Oh, give me the lie.
Give me the truth. I'm a straightforward shooter.
Actually, I get nervous with the truth. Like hurt with the truth really hurts. No, I mean for longevity's sake, give me the truth. But do it with a lot of gentleness and love because your boy looks like he has thick skin, but it's very thin.
It didn't say. It just said be hurt with the truth.
So
right?
we'll say truth. I'll go with truth too because longevity that's the best.
Truth. 75% said truth. 25% said lie.
Man, y'all living in the Matrix if you said that. All right.
Would you rather write the worst book ever or record the worst song ever? I think the song, right? Because you think about it, those people that were like back in the 80s that wrote terrible music.
It's
kind of disappeared though.
Right.
But with the book, like
it's on the shelf for forever.
It's forever. It lasts way much.
And think about it this way, right? So a book, when someone writes a book, they put tons and tons of hours into that.
Right.
A song you put a lot of hours into, but nothing like a book. So I would say a bad song because it's the time.
All right. So you're saying you would rather
I would rather
record
a worse song.
Okay, so that's where I'm at too. So 27% agree with us. They'd rather record the worst song
ever. Only 27?
73% said write the worst book ever.
Really? Because y'all can't write anyways.
That's
y'all don't
because
know grammar.
you guys have you're not thinking logically here.
You're like those Gen Z people who can't spell for beans.
All right. No
offense, Gen Z. No offense, Gen Z. No offense.
We got a commercial, so we're gonna have to spread this out.
We got a commercial.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah. See, look, it's fish.
Oh, it's the fish game.
2,375
They're trying
coins.
to get our stuff.
Yeah. So, wait.
Side note, while you're looking for that, I was going to say we still don't have a sponsor for RTC. So if you or someone you know that, let's just be honest, it's a Christian ministry-based organization who would love to sponsor RTC, get in touch with us at rooftalkchristianpodcast@gmail.com. Did I stall long enough?
You did. Thank you. All right. So would you rather wrestle a lion or fight a shark? I'm afraid of sharks. Like, I'm definitely afraid I'm going to get eaten by a shark in the ocean.
That is the worst question.
I would rather fight a lion.
What's funny, because since we're doing Ask Us Anything, the next one of our Ask Us Anything questions actually will go into this.
Yes, it will.
But a lion or a shark?
A lion or a shark?
Oh, jeez.
What you got, man? Come on.
I'm going to go with a lion.
All right, lion.
I'm going to go with
52% said lion, 48% said shark.
What was your reasoning?
My reasoning is exactly what I said.
I missed it. I was thinking.
I am deathly afraid of being eaten by a shark in the ocean.
There you go. See,
definitely
my thing is, I'm not a great swimmer, but I feel like if I at least have my feet in my hands, I have a chance to kick it somewhere where I don't like, and then I can run.
I'm a good swimmer.
I
do not like dark, deep water.
I am not a good swimmer. So I feel like my chances would go my chances would go up 0.2% with a lion, but hey, that's a better chance of living, so I'm here for it.
Right.
And maybe I could be like Daniel. And the lions just cuddle with me instead of eat me.
All right.
Maybe that's what would happen. Call me Daniel from now on.
All right, Daniel. So,
all right, anyways,
again, we don't have any coffee. You're not even drinking anything.
I got water.
Oh, you got water. Okay, so I'm at the bottom. bottom of my.
I got
lemonade.
water. I got water.
So
it's hot because
we're gonna try to do some coffee here sooner or later.
Iced coffee right after we're done recording. Yep,
probably. So let's go ahead.
I want it right now.
I'm gonna read
it.
I'm gonna read.
Want it right now.
All right. So I'm on Facebook. Right. This is Gedi Music Fest. Typically we do the iTunes.
But anything can
reviews,
happen.
But it's the magical place of make believe here at Gedi. So
wait, hold up. This is not a make believe place. This is a real place with real people.
Listen, I can imagine
where we've had some real conversations.
I can imagine that we might be the MCs next year. So it's a magical
sure
place.
This is the most magical place in Michigan.
So
how about that?
I'm going to read 2 reviews from Facebook.
Oh, two.
We're gonna do a double.
Wow, Fuller, you're feeling generous, bro.
So first of all, we're gonna do. We're gonna do Brandon Stevens. He recommends Real Talk Christian Podcast. He says this says the, but I'm guessing he says.
And Brandon
they.
left us like a year ago.
So this was a year ago. So they speak biblically sound truth and back it up with the Bible. They are really good with explaining how to apply living like a Christian in every aspect of life. This is the best Christian podcast out there. And you can definitely feel the spirit from
it. B, thanks for that one, man.
So
thank you.
The next one I'm going to read is from this year, right?
Ooh,
See,
okay.
I wanted to bounce back and forth. It's a magical land of
I
make-believe.
love how many people walk by our tent and just stop and stare like we're talking to them.
They're like, what are you doing?
Well, no, because we're talking and we're talking loud.
Hey, how's it going over there?
And people walk by. Yeah, people just stopped again. They just stopped. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Those girls walking by, they look back like, who is he talking to me?
That's awkward. That's uncomfortable.
Right. So, Chris Forgs. We're going to go with Forgs. Chris Forgs.
Chris F.
Chris F. Said, I recently found your podcast and listened to it almost every day. Love everything you do and recommend it to everyone I can. Keep up the good work and sharing the Lord's word. God bless. Thank you all to whoever leaves a Facebook review.
If you guys leave us a Facebook review, I'll be honest, they don't notify us when you guys do that. They don't notify us. So if you do, reach out to us. We'll get you a mini swag bag in the mail, man, because we still have a lot here from Gedi. Hopefully we can give out all of them. How many mini swag bags do we have?
So we had 50 mini swag bags. I think we're down to 30 something.
I mean, we were trying to hey, come on and record with us, and everyone's like, no.
Now we're just at it's got a Bible, so we're starting to hand stuff out as we
Bible and swag.
That's our thing. So yeah, we're the goal is for that bin to be emptied by the time we leave tonight.
I wonder if next year for Gedi we can sponsor somehow and just provide all the drawstring backpacks, and everyone and their mom has a drawstring backpack of RTC.
That is awesome.
Probably be expensive. Matt, let us know. Tell us if we can do that.
All right.
But if you leave us a review, hit us up. We want to give you the mini swag bag.
Also reach out to us on Apple iTunes if you haven't already to leave us that review, because it helps us get into the ears of other listeners. Go ahead and give us a rating on Spotify. There's a lot of ways you can help us help you.
And the biggest way, though, is just to share one of our episodes with someone who you think may actually need it.
And don't forget to check us out on YouTube if you are not doing that currently.
I think Lydia Laird's on right now.
Yeah, probably.
She sounds good. Oh, that bass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's her. All right.
If my church folk are listening, New Life church folk, I want to hear bass like this at the church, because we don't.
Yeah, so this episode, as you can see,
we are sponsored by the music at Gedi.
This is the Gedi episodes.
And we're here, baby, so we're doing a Q&A.
All right, let's do the Q&A.
So I'm going to do the best I can to keep up with it, because I have the world's worst cell phone service here. It took me literally 10 minutes to pull this up.
And we have the world's worst attention span. So
100%. So we only have a couple serious questions, but a lot of them are really funny.
So we're going to do them all.
Should we sprinkle them, or should we do the funny ones first? What do you think?
Yeah, let's just read them in order.
I'm going to start with Lydia's question.
Let's chronologically read them.
How about this one? How about we start with the animal one, because that was part of what would you rather question? Because okay.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead and do whatever you want.
So with the would you rather question, talk about the lion and the shark. Well, Lydia asked us over on Facebook, inside of our Facebook group. She says, "What animals do you think you could fight barehanded and win?" And we actually talked. We had a long conversation about this in the car yesterday.
And I came down to snail.
You came down to snail,
as long as I have soul.
And I came down to a fly.
Yeah, so although that fly is beating you up over there right now, I keep watching it flying.
They keep biting me. But in all seriousness, my thought was I could take on a squirrel.
Yeah, and then we're like, nope. They go straight for the nuts.
And you were like,
well,
you're muted. Nope, I muted you. You were absolutely muted for the rest of the show.
Listen,
there's a lot of wins. So
that is not the worst thing that's been said on this podcast, and usually it's from you.
There's a lot of wins, so I'm hoping that you guys are okay hearing it, because this is wild.
There's no wind pickup on the. That's all music. All you're hearing is music.
Okay, my bad. But no, then we were like, oh, how about a cat? We could take on a cat. And we're like, nope.
Claw your eyes out.
Those things are evil.
They clawed your eyes
I have a
out.
cat that's glorious, but those things are a little evil. So I landed on a sloth.
So then you said a sloth.
I landed on a sloth.
And I'm sorry, have you seen the size claws those suckers got?
But they don't know how to use them besides just hanging.
Right. But if it falls out of a tree and it comes down and grabs you, you're done.
That would suck.
See?
That'd puncture a lung.
Yeah.
Did you know that a sloth? You know how most sloths die is they are so slow and lazy that they grab onto their own arms that they think it's a tree branch and then they fall out of trees and die.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have thought they're like, I'm thirsty, and it took them 8 days to get to a water source, and they just
No. It's literally they grab onto their own arm because they think their arm is another branch, and then they fall to their death.
Oh, look, it's a bro.
I will say the sloth in Zootopia was fan-flippin-tastic.
Flash.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Except I had a student show up as him once for the Disney-themed Halloween party we had at SM, and she talked as slow as he did. And I'm like, Caitlin, please, I will pay you money. Talk normal.
Is that all I have to do to annoy you?
I'm like, Caitlin, stop. All right, so here's another fun question from the Facebook group. You ready? Are you happy with your height? No, I am not.
I am not either.
Wait,
why
really?
are you?
Because I'm short. I just measured myself, and I don't even measure 5'9" anymore. I measure at 5'8" now.
He's like, I'm 5'8" and 7/8.
On my license, it says 5'10", and I'm sticking with it.
So
with my hair, I'm 5'10".
I think I've mentioned this in previous podcasts, but growing up, I wanted to be an Air Force fighter jet pilot.
We have talked about this,
and they have a height restriction of 6'1", I believe. And I'm 6'3", so I'm 2 inches too tall. The ejector seat would decapitate me with the canopy, so I was never allowed to go do that.
I always wanted to be taller for sports. I wanted to be a soccer player. I was fine being short because I was feisty anyways, and I like to hit.
Right.
But basketball, I always wanted to be a 6'2", 6'3" point guard.
Because
I'm like, then I could go into the paint and not all of a sudden be like, I'm in the crowd of giants.
So maybe if I was more into basketball, maybe I'd be okay with my height. But I'm not.
But for your reason, that makes sense,
right?
All right, so here's another question.
I mean, how many people go, you're too tall? Sorry, you can't do this. You're too tall. Usually that's, no, you're too short to ride the ride, right?
Well, I guess a horse jockey. I'm too tall to be a horse jockey.
He's like, yes.
I am too tall for
something. I can't be an Oompa Loompa.
All right, so here's a question from over in the Instagram land. Right. This is from our good old friend Clark from Texas. Clark from Texas.
Right.
He says, theoretically, no God, no sin. Would you be a superhero or a villain?
Ooh, I would probably still be a superhero because I enjoy helping people. No God, no sin. That's I like helping people.
I care too much about. I hate getting in trouble. So I would say superhero, but I would bet you most of my kids would say villain.
Yeah, it's a good possibility. Man, they are really jamming.
Man, they are just. Your mom walked in here, grabbed her little wagon with her chairs, and waved and walked out. I got concert to go to.
She's like, later.
Janelle's out here somewhere, so we might get interrupted by Janelle and the kids, and Beth is on her way.
That's right.
So, but you would be a superhero over a villain. Now, but again, here's the deal. No morality, though. I will be honest, though, because here's my thought, okay? Villains have more fun. So.
Do they, though?
If there's no morality, yeah.
Do they, though?
Sure seems like it. Everyone wants to dress up as them as Halloween lately. I don't know why that is.
I don't.
You don't? So you still sticking with superhero?
I'm sticking with superhero.
I'm sticking with superhero, but two rules.
No.
No capes. No capes.
Capes. Edna taught us that.
No capes. And number 2, and no undies outside of my costume. If I'm freaking wearing Batman armor. I ain't wearing no Superman undies. No. What would your outfit be?
Batman.
What colors? Would you be Would you be the Dark Knight?
Oh yeah.
Nah, I want blue. I want to be a bluebird. Call me Bluebird. Call me Bluebird.
Bluebird Daniel.
I love it. All right, so here's another question that we've had to answer a lot here on the show, so we'll do this one quick.
All right.
How did you two meet? How did you two meet, and how long was it?
Well,
you answer it.
It's been about 5 years now, so we actually met. Janelle and I were visiting the church, and Pastor Scott.
This is the story of RTC.
So Pastor Scott had mentioned something about, because the 1 week
you guys visited.
We visited. I met with Pastor Scott. We hadn't met you because you weren't there. I think you were on vacation.
If it was in the summer, probably.
The next week,
Janelle
went with Piper, and I wasn't there because I was working, and you met Janelle.
We met Janelle. Yep.
And then the next week,
you showed up.
I showed up.
Like, hey, come to small group.
And you guys invited us to small group, and we started going to small group.
And then, but we've been doing the podcast now for 3 years.
It'll be 3 years, August. Well,
Now, basically.
Recording, yes.
3 years and a month.
Right. Well, no, we've been recording since July of 2019.
That's wild to think about.
Yeah.
And we've met already some people, other people here at Gedi who are like, oh yeah, I started a podcast too. We're like, it's a grind, isn't it? Like, yup. And I'm like, yeah, we've been doing it for 3 years. People go, wow.
Yeah.
Like it's a grind, man, every single time. All right, so this one is a serious question from over on Instagram. And for some reason, because my data stinks, I can't pull up who asked the question. I just remember that it was a question. Actually, you know what? I think I can take a shortcut. Donovan Caldwell asked us this question.
Oh, okay. So we're getting ready to send him out a swag bag time of recording.
So we had we posted one the other day, and he asked. I'm trying to remember the exact detail, but I think it was just: are you pre-mill, post-mill, mid-trib, pre-wrath,
eschatology,
pre-millennial, post-mill, mill? What are your end-time views?
What's our eschatology?
So without going too deep and going into all the scriptures for everything.
Why don't you jump into it first?
Yeah, so for those of you guys who aren't very familiar with what any of those terms are, it basically means how the end of the world is going to come to be.
It's the end of the world.
So some people believe that we're going to, we're living our life. The rapture happens. 7 years, and then there's 7 years tribulation, and then Jesus comes back. So the first part that we got to talk about is how do we handle the tribulation period? That's 7 years in Revelation and the 40 weeks of Daniel.
Okay.
How do we handle that? That's the first part of talking about end times.
Okay, so you're explaining.
Yeah, I'm explaining just what it is.
Like the ground rules.
Yeah. And then your eschatological view is how you believe all of eternity will last with Jesus' kingdom. Will it be a literal 1,000-year reigns like it says in Revelation, and then after that, just forever? Are we currently like living in the 1,000 years? Is it just complete allegory and it's just millennial? Like there is no Jesus is going to come back and that's it.
Yeah, it's all.
That's it. We did have an episode.
It's an analogy.
We had an episode about this.
We've had a couple episodes.
We've had quite a few, and so I'll start. How about this one? I'll start.
All right.
So I always grew up pre-trib. That's just what I was taught.
Sure.
But the more I went through college and seminary and read the Bible on my own and thought about it and reasoned with people, I've landed on I am actually post-trib. So I still think that the 7-year tribulation is a real life thing, but I believe Christians will live all the way through it. However, in the same way that the Israelites were spared in Egypt during the plagues, so the Christians will be spared from the wrath of God.
Mm-hmm.
We will still, Christians will still suffer and be persecuted, and you read all the things in Revelation of what's going to happen with that, and the mark of the beast will be a real thing. It's not the COVID shot, but the mark of the beast will actually happen, and out of that, after the 7 years, Jesus will come back, and I believe that that's it. Like, there's no rapture. I don't believe in a rapture. I don't see scripturally where there is a rapture. I feel like that there is you got to read that pre-trib. I feel like you have to read that into the text. In my opinion, that's just my opinion, because whenever you see Jesus come back, he's coming with the voice of the archangel and the trumpets, and everybody's going to see Jesus coming back to his kingdom to claim what is his. It's not going to be a quiet time. And in the same way that the Roman emperors, because it was written time of Rome, came into the cities, we'll meet Jesus in the air and then come back with him.
Okay, so that's where
I believe 1 Thessalonians comes in.
You say you don't believe in a rapture, but you kind of do.
I don't believe in a rapture, then 7 years, then come back.
You believe in a post-trib rapture.
But we're going up to come right back down.
Exactly.
We're coming in with King Jesus.
I don't want people to get confused. You do believe that we're going to be caught up in the air, which is a rapture.
That's in the Bible.
Which is what people call rapture, right? It's
correct.
It's
I just don't believe in the rapture,
right.
the secret rapture.
The secret carrying away. Right.
Yeah, the secret carrying away, and then 7 years afterwards,
right.
because
it's not very secret when a bunch of people disappear.
No, but you have a whole different view when it comes to the tribulation.
Not so much. I mean, you and I
have you changed?
No, well, you and I are pretty close, right?
You've changed. I've converted you.
No, you haven't, because you are post-trib, right?
Correct.
So the view that I hold is a post-trib view, and it's very similar to the way you just explained it. So I grew up pre-trib, and I am currently a already not yet pre-wrath position.
Right. Okay. So lean into that. Lean into that.
So I don't
post-mill or post-trib.
Post-trib, pre-mill.
Which is the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ.
I think that's going to be. I think it's going to be a legitimate 1,000-year reign.
Yep.
I think that's man, this is a jam right here.
Man, I been to a Christian music festival in 8 years. No, almost 10 years. And this is cool.
So, anyways, so I believe that we are, like you, are going to be here for the 7 years of tribulation. I believe there is going to be a 7 year
pouring out of God's wrath.
Not pouring out of God's wrath.
Oh, okay, my bad. I put words in your mouth.
I think it's going to be more of things are going to be happening, right, to the world, right? But the wrath, there's a difference between the wrath of God that's poured out upon men and things that are just happening. So I believe between the 6th and 7th bowl, I believe at the 7th bowl, the pouring out of the 7th bowl is when the wrath, I'm sorry, is it 7th trumpet. Between the 6th and 7th trumpet.
The bowls, the seals, and the trumpets.
The wrath of God is poured out, and that's when we see the bowls come in, right? The bowls of wrath from God. And so I believe we're going to be here through the tribulation. I believe, like you, we're going to be caught up, going up into Christ in the air, and as Christ is coming back, that's when the wrath of God is poured out on all human flesh.
But you're also the pre-wrath view is the fact if you're caught up in the air, then the wrath of God pours out, and then Jesus comes back.
Yes.
Whereas I believe we'll be somewhere on earth when that wrath happens.
Yeah, right.
We'll be.
That's what I'm saying. We're pretty close, but we're a little different, right?
And when it comes to the millennial reign of Christ, where the post mill, a pre mill will say there's a literal one. Jesus will come back 1,000 years. Post mill say that the world has to get to, the world has to get to the spot where it's ready for Christ to come back.
Christians have to win over a certain amount
right, and
of
we're just going to segue into that.
Right.
And then Mill like, nah, Jesus coming back, and that's it.
Yeah, well, it's Jesus is going to come
and
back, and that's all poetic.
I will say I'm working
poetry.
through those. Right, I haven't put a lot of time or thought into that. I cannot definitively say I'm 100% pre. I mean, I used to be like, I'm pre-mill, but I'm like, am I pre-mill, or is it a different understanding of how we even think and understand? I don't know. I don't fully know.
So, yeah, I'm a lot more pre-mill just from the simple fact that there's too much that is discussed in detail
and surrounding the scripture
of there's a 1,000-year reign, and then Satan's released afterwards. So if it was just figurative or it was whatever, was it we don't see since Christ went back and ascended to heaven, we do not see that the devil is held and chained and bound, right?
Right.
There's no reign going on right now. So I don't hold to the when Christ comes back again.
I do see a lot of validity in the post-mill view in terms of, because there's more Christians now than there were people back in the Christian time.
Yes, there was, but the Bible also says there's going to be a great falling away, and we actually see the staggering number drop of Christianity, and not just in this country, but throughout the world right now.
And we do see the drop. It's just per capita. But then with, someone has a sign out there saying, we love you. Not to RTC, to the artist.
Yeah, where's our sign?
I don't know. But then the fact of okay, so is Jesus going to come back and Satan's going to round up his people that are already here? Or how's that going to work? And to be honest with you, I don't know. I still lean towards the pre-mill. But at the end of the day, this is why we went back to the creeds and that conversation of what does the Bible say? We know Jesus will come back.
What does the Bible say?
But what does the Bible say? We know that Jesus will return and judge the living and the dead, and he will establish his kingdom for forever. How exactly does that work? I can't say I know definitively how it works. I just know it's going to go down.
Right.
It's going to go down. Does that suffice for that question?
I think so. And we have other episodes on that, and all you guys got to do is go to our website, realtalkchristianpodcast.com, hit the listen button or the search button, and you guys can search it
I love it. All right, you ready for another question?
Let's do it.
What's your favorite fruit?
I think my favorite fruit is probably watermelon. I love watermelon.
Over all the other fruits. We talked about fruit and veggies a little bit ago. I feel like I'm yelling at my microphone because I'm trying to compete with that music. But seriously, over oranges or bananas or apples or strawberries or blueberries. Boo-boo berries.
Boo-boo berries.
Boo-boo berries. But seriously, watermelons are good. See, mine's apple. 100% apple.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that in previous.
Yeah, we talk about food quite a bit, including best meatloaf. So, hey, coffee shot. All right, so here's another fun question. This is also from Lydia. She said the last one was too. She says, "We've heard where you'd like to live the most, but where would you like to live the least?" Ooh. That's wild.
I would probably say Iraq.
I was gonna say, do we keep it in America or do we go worldwide?
Okay, let's do worldwide.
Let's start worldwide.
Okay, I say Iraq.
I would say there's a lot of countries that. Like down in Haiti, there's a lot of voodoo that really spooks me out. Mm-hmm. And I would get nervous. I'd get nervous.
So I would say Iraq or, Palestine, any of those Middle Eastern.
I mean, I don't know if I would say I never would want to live in that country because I don't think I have an answer for that.
But here's my thing. I got a reason why.
Okay.
And my only reasoning is I am a white evangelical Christian who would die within 30 days of being there.
Not necessarily. There's a lot of people under there doing their thing. You got to protect them. You're bulletproof, though God tells you are.
Yeah.
You also would fry like a lobster.
I would probably fry. I'd probably die.
So
one way or the other, I would be dead.
So we're going to ostracize some people, okay? So where would you not want to live in the U.S.? Start with the states. Start with the states. I would never want to live in this state. And ready? We're going to say them at the same time. And I'm really nervous to say this.
Wait, are we going to say, we're just going to say the state?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Arizona.
North Dakota. I would be okay in Arizona.
I wouldn't, man.
It'd be hot as crap.
Too many. It's hot and too many poisonous things out there, man. I don't.
Now that's terrifying.
No, I'm good.
But here's the deal. There's real cities down there. North Dakota. There's Bismarck. There is Bismarck.
Listen, North Dakota.
There's Mount Rushmore.
Wait, who are you talking to? I'd be fine in the mountains in a cabin with a stream.
And see, that's what I'm saying.
Go fish.
Like Alaska is dope. Alaska's dope, but Alaska's cool. North Dakota is landlocked.
I'm good with that.
No,
I'm good with North Dakota. You guys are my peeps. I'm good with that.
No, I'd struggle with the cold and the mountains.
Nah, I'd be good with that.
I would struggle.
The open where like you don't have a neighbor for miles and
no,
miles
I want
around.
neighbors. I want to live in a neighborhood. I want to live in a
awesome.
And that's part of that's part of mine and Beth's conversation is the simple fact of so where are we going to buy our next house? And she's like, let's do something with more like a community and like a housing complex. And I'm like, I want to be like in a neighborhood. Like I like neighborhood living. That's rather than like the burbs.
You're a city boy.
But I grew up in a neighborhood. Right. That's all I've known. That's all I have ever known.
Right.
Like, I didn't live in a subdivision until I was a teenager.
This is the farthest country house currently that you're living in that you've ever lived in.
Yeah, I get poison ivy multiple times per year, and it's awful.
Stay out of the poison ivy, man.
I can't. It just shows up everywhere. Then guys hose it down like, shoot, there's some more. All right, that's cool. And I've had to go like last year. I had to go twice to the physician's urgent care to get steroid pills.
Yep.
And one time it was something I'm like, oh, we'll give you some pills. I'm like, no, I want the shot too. They're like, well, insurance won't cover. I said, I don't care.
Pull the needle out and stick me in my bum.
That's actually exactly what it was.
Well, I know it was.
I got shot in the butt, and then I got steroid shots.
I've had it before, so I totally know
it was wild.
is.
So I would say North Dakota, just the simple fact of there's not a whole lot of things around. Like Salt Lake City seems dope. You know, even like Washington, Seattle seems dope because there's a big city life. But
I'm good.
I don't. And if we have people listening to North Dakota, forgive me for that because I'm just a sinner, just like you.
Forgive me, Dakota, for I have sinned.
Forgive me for I have.
It has been
sinned.
3 minutes since my last confession. Go ahead.
Okay, so technically we only have, which we did not get a lot of comments, and I don't know if that's just because we got some more.
Oh, we got more.
Someone just did a sad crying face. I don't know why you did that. That's not a question.
I can't see what the time is.
Oh, okay. You brought the time. 31 minutes. We're doing
31 minutes. Right. Hey, take a coffee shot.
So here's a serious question, and then one that's more of an advice that someone wants to know.
Okay.
So I'm tempted to read this whole. I'm tempted to read the whole thing.
Just read it.
Okay, I'll read the whole thing. So this is over from our Facebook group from Brandon. He says, about 2 years ago, I left a ministry called Teens for Christ. I was very close to becoming an intern there. However, since I was only 17 and still in high school, I could not. So I was a quote-unquote unofficial student leader. However, my junior year, I left the ministry because of rumors I have heard about demonic activity going on behind the scenes that had never been addressed, which I'm curious, maybe it's what we're talking about later, or there's actually like demonic things. I'm not really sure. Hey, there's Janelle and the kids.
Yep, they're coming back.
I love it.
They got snow cones in hand.
They better have brought me one. It says, however, my junior year I left because of rumors I heard about demonic activity going on behind the scenes that had never been addressed. When I brought this info to the leaders of the group, Teens for Christ, whom I was close with and looked up to, they just brushed it off and we parted ways. I was starting to not be on board with all that was being taught as well. However, this past week, a letter was sent out that some of the leaders within the ministry led a dishonest life. Two of my main leaders, one who I consider to be one of my mentors, had been exposed for abusing and sexually assaulting several women and men.
Wow.
I will not get into details because it was just graphic and horrifying. It's all public information now and the law is involved, and I'm very happy that I left what I did, but I guess my main question is this. Before I get to that, props to you, bro, for being wise in your young youth, bro.
Right, yep.
Props for you for being wise and stepping out.
Listening to the Holy Spirit.
Here's the question. How should a Christian respond when leaders of a ministry are exposed for horrific sins, especially leaders they looked up to? If you can't answer this because it's too long, I understand. This has just been very heavy in my heart. It's causing a lot of hurt for me and my fiance because we grew up attending the ministry, which, by the way, he all just got engaged. Congratulations. Because they grew up attending this ministry, and like I said, I almost started serving there.
Right.
And we've talked about what happens when leaders fail, but this is more specifically along the lines of what happens when you're serving in a ministry and one of your mentors that you looked up to just absolutely failed.
So it's no different. I mean, it is different, but it's no different than how we should act with anybody, right? That falls into sin. What's my favorite passage, Mark? Well, besides Matthew.
That's not why Matthew is
not Matthew 5:16. What's been my recent go-to scripture?
Galatians 6:1.
Galatians 6:1. What does it say?
Brothers, if any of you are fallen into sin, rebuke them, so that way in doing such you will cover, like saving them, you'll save their soul, cover multitude of sins, and lest you fall into that same sin as well. That's the Mark Hyde botched version.
That's a really botched version.
I think I actually combined two verses
you did,
in that one.
You did. No, but Galatians 6:1 says that. Well, let me just pull it up. I'll read.
Just pull it up
because I don't want to do a bad job like somebody just did. Sorry. Anyways, it says, brothers, if someone is caught in any wrongdoing, you who are spiritual should restore such a person with a gentle spirit, watching out for yourselves, so you also won't be tempted. And then carry one another's burdens. In this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone considers himself to be doing something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. So,
all right. So, what's your advice to Brandon, though, man?
My advice to Brandon is, if you still have a relationship, right, you should deal with them in gentleness and love.
But I would say at this point, you can't even deal with them with gentleness and love, because I think it's actually an unsafe reality of that.
Is it?
I do. Because he's already being tempted with the law. He's already being the leaders already. The law's involved. The church ministry called them out. They took care of what they're supposed to do. So I don't think he needs to go to him anymore.
I think he should still go to him, because it sounds like there's still personal hurt that needs to be dealt with.
Right, and I think at some point it'd be a good thing to do.
To me, it's no different than when Christ addressed the convicted criminals on the cross. Right? Those were convicted criminals, yet he's still talking to them.
Right. No,
I mean, I guess it's a little bit different story, because he didn't have.
But there's something to be when you go through a traumatic experience. I don't think creating separation. But
is it such a? It's not.
It's not traumatic.
So we get back to what we talked about.
Trauma versus traumatic. But it's a hurtful thing.
It is hurtful, but we have, like we talked about in the what do you do when the church hurts you? What did we say in that episode? Do you remember? We said you should speak to him in gentleness and love if you can. If you can,
as much as it is up within your ability to do such, live at peace with one another.
If you can't, then you need to learn to forgive them in your own heart, right? Pray for them and move on.
Right.
That's what you need to do. You can't harbor hurt, and I'm sure Brandon has already done this. It sounds like he's a pretty wise person. So, but what do you do with that? I think if you're not willing to go to address it because of personal hurts, like you're not willing to go or you can't go and speak to that brother like we're told to, then I would say just forgive them in your heart. Don't hold bitterness against them, right? And then move on, right?
Right.
So
and there's a lot of times, and I'm just sitting here thinking through this and all the pain that comes with that thought. I mean, like, first we need to understand that no man was ever supposed to be put on a pedestal.
Right.
We had a conversation with someone here in the podcast tent talking about that and how, like, the Billy Graham conversation of the do as most humble as they come.
Yeah.
But it seems like so many leaders are fallen.
Barney and Barb.
Yeah, Barney and Barb. And so many different leaders have fallen over the years. We talked about that too. But the fact of, the pride comes before the fall.
Right.
But at the same time, if we wrap our entire Christian worldview around a person or people or leaders, that's not what Christianity is actually all about. We're supposed to put our focus on Jesus. And you see the Apostle Paul talking about the fact of, some stand for Paul, some stand for Apollos, some stand for Jesus. So what on earth are we supposed to do? And the Apostle Paul literally just said, we're not supposed to be for anybody. We're supposed to be for the gospel and how that goes out. But there's a true thing of the fact of when you open your heart and you open your life for someone to speak into it, there's always a chance that your heart's going to get ripped out and stepped on. There's always a chance with that. But as the
relationships are messy sometimes.
Relationships are messy. But as a Christian, it's one of those things we have to fully understand that we are all, multiple poor decisions away from being in the same exact spot.
Right. Hey, look, there's your sister and Joe.
So, wait, seriously?
Yeah, there's Amanda and Joe.
Hey, it's Amanda. Hey, Uncle Joe. We're recording. Hey, Joe, you want to be on the podcast?
All right, so let's finish.
Wait, no, Joe, do you want to record on the podcast? No. Sure. We're almost done. So grab a seat, go get me a snow cone. It'll be awesome.
You and the snow cones,
I'm
man.
obsessed.
You have a problem.
But I think there's two things we can learn from this. Number one is look at what happened in him and his life to make sure that doesn't happen in your own. So you see that a leader fell, which means you also as a leader can fall.
Right.
So surround yourself with accountability, which I remember when my ex's affair came out and all these different things, you made sure and helped me through different things, and Devin helped me through different things, and other people helped me through different things as well, in terms of like, hey, just so you know, I just want to make sure you're aware of this, just so you can be prepared to take the steps out of that. And so I had a community around us to love me through that. I had to set up appropriate boundaries. And so for you, Brandon, I know you're going to, I know, dude, I just feel it, bro. You might be a church leader one day. Don't be scared to put up boundaries and be accountable to other people to speak in your life. Because the second someone's no longer able to speak into your life is the second you're about to fall. Yep. Which is exactly what happened with your specific leaders. And so I'm a big fan of that podcast, Mars Hill, The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And so that podcast, if you have not listened to it yet, it's going to rip your heart out, man. But listen to that, because at the end, as these bonus episodes are being released, they talk with different people of, here's all the hurt that came out of it, but here's good that came out of it. Right. Here's how you process those emotions. The most recent bonus episode, bro, that they just dropped will actually help you process these emotions that you're dealing with, because she helped other people who went through the Marcel situation process their emotions and feelings with that. So that'd be my 2 cents with that is know that it could happen to you. So set up accountability for that.
You got to have accountability, and you have to set up boundaries, right?
Yeah.
There's certain boundaries, and obviously this leader, this church leader that was caught in these sexual sins did not have the boundaries that they should have had.
No, not at all.
Because if they had the proper boundaries, they would have never been in a situation that would have allowed that to transpire.
Yeah, and again, it lets people speak into your life.
Right, exactly.
All right, so here's another question from over in the Instagram land. This question is, what do I do if I dislike my job but love the people working with me? Ooh.
Well, I would say love the snot out of the people that you work with.
Yep.
And depending on...
It's also, why do you not like your job?
Well...
You know?
Yes. You have to remember you're an ambassador at the time at your job, right? So you exhume Christ. Not exhume. That's the wrong word for it. You what's the word I'm looking for, Mark?
I don't know. I was reading any other questions.
You basically you are an image bearer of Christ. We'll go with that. You're an image bearer of Christ. Huh?
But you're
an image bearer of Christ.
We're made in the image of God, yeah.
And so, we're not just made in the image, but we call ourselves a Christian.
We're ambassadors.
So we are Christ.
We're God's representatives.
We are little Christ is what it was Christian means.
Not little gods.
Not little gods, little Christ.
Yep.
And not saying that we have the power or the authority or we're like Christ anyways, but with that we're followers of Christ. We should imitate Christ. That's the word. We're imitators. There we go. I knew I'd get around to it eventually.
And the Apostle Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Yep.
Right. So I would say if you're going to leave... Right? If you hate your job, you're deciding to leave, one, make sure, I mean, this is just practical advice, make sure it's something that's going to sustain you, or if you have a family, sustain your family. And then make sure you go into that kind of decision prayerfully, right? Because changing jobs is not something to be taken lightly, because it does affect the relationships that you have established. So, anytime I've left a job, that I've had good friends at or good witness at, typically those relationships kind of fall to the wayside. Not all the way, but they're not as intense as when you're seeing somebody, 5 days a week. And so those relationships kind of float away a little bit, and you don't have the same type of relationship anymore. So if these are people you really care about and you have a ministry with them, I would say sometimes you got to suffer it out. I'm not in a job that I absolutely love. Being in a job that you absolutely love is a rare thing. The world tells you, well, keep going to different jobs until you find one that you love, because, if you don't love your job, then what's the purpose of being there? And I would say, well, it depends. Is that where God has you, and is that where your ministry's at? So, and
there's so many different things to lean into that, because, I heard the other day the rule of thirds when it comes to loving your job. I don't remember what they all were. One is, a third of the time you love your job.
Right.
A third of the time you don't like your job. And then the third of the time you're just indifferent. And the guy said, if you're imbalanced in any one of those three things, the question is, you have to ask the question of why.
Right.
And then the question of, is there anything you can control to make it better?
Sure.
And then the last question is it time to just move on?
Right.
And switching jobs is a very hard thing. I would say, why do you hate your job so much? Is it the fact that they're not paying you what's a reasonable salary for that? Is it the fact that you don't like the work people around you? Because, there's a lot of times where I've talked with teens
Well,
where...
he just said that he enjoys the people that he works with.
Well, this is what I mean, though, is the fact of, do you like the people that you work with, or... Honestly, is it a struggle because, yes, you are surrounded by a lot of unbelievers, and so it causes you to become a person you don't want to be anymore? Like, is that a question?
But is that a problem with the job, or is that a problem with you that you need to address?
That's true, and you got to be a good representative for Jesus.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to be. That to me says that you got something within you that you need to work on.
I would say this. We're supposed to. No matter what we do, 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to God's glory. So my first question is are you doing your job currently to God's glory? Or are you just doing it to get a paycheck? And sometimes if you have that mental shift of, you know what? And I struggle with this.
I work for Christ. I don't work for the company.
Can I go a little emotional on you real quick?
Go for it.
So I was a
the
pastor.
tears.
I've baptized teens. I have led teens to Jesus. I have helped lives be transformed. I have developed so many different experiences and curriculums. And right now, I got kids who are starting families, who are going to hopefully be planting churches, that are going to be involved in student ministry, all these different things. I'm like, man, I was changing the world through my little student ministry, and now I make stupid websites for people.
But the thing is that you weren't changing the world. God was changing the world.
This is the mindset shift I had. A mindset shift. I got to be very careful with those words of what I had to do, because the fact that I went, oh, look at all these things I can do. Now I just make stupid websites, and I'm like, no. Wherever I'm at, am I doing the best that I can, living for an audience of one? And am I doing it all to God's glory? And the fact of, was I being a youth pastor for Mark's glory and Mark's kingdom, or for God's kingdom and God's glory?
Right.
And that's a true wrestle I had to deal with.
Yeah, whose kingdom are you
working for?
Right.
And the answer was, I was building God's kingdom, but I sure like building Mark's kingdom at the same time, side by side, being honest with you.
But I
had to have the mental shift of, I get to work with what I get to, right now I am interacting with more unbelievers as a website designer than I ever had as a youth pastor.
But here's the thing,
so
right?
Cool.
You said something very important. If I was building God's kingdom, but I was building Mark's kingdom at the same time, and you have to be careful, and I know you have, but I'm saying for our listeners, you have to be careful.
This is where accountability,
because you cannot serve two masters. You cannot be building a kingdom for God and building a kingdom for yourself. It does not work, right? Because you building a kingdom for yourself is building a kingdom for the enemy.
Yep.
You are putting yourself as an enemy towards God. You either build the kingdom for God or you don't.
I like that. So I keep, and so
it's a struggle.
I
struggle with the same thing. I struggle with the same thing, bro.
So
right?
so how about this? I won't call the person out because Instagram is private when they send us messages. So if you want to have more actual dive-in conversation about your job or whatnot, just send us a DM over on Instagram, and we're not always responsive, but we did the best we can to respond with that.
Hey, little Piper here.
Hey, Piper, you want to jump on the microphone?
Wants to say hi. Can you say hi?
Come here, Noel.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Say welcome to our Real Talk Christian podcast. No, you're not going to say it? Noel, do you want to say something? Okay, go ahead.
What do you want to say, Noel?
Hello.
Hello.
This is Daddy and me.
Daddy and you?
Yeah.
Welcome to Real Talk Christian podcast with your host, Chris Fuller, and Noel.
And Noel.
Noel Fuller.
Hey, so what do we always say on Fun TV? Never what?
Never grow up.
Never grow
up. All right, sweetie, we're going to finish up here, okay, baby?
Dad got
Snow cone. I know Mr. Mark is jealous.
Wait. So, Janelle, he's been telling me to never grow up and then up my butt about being a grown child because all I want are snow cones.
I told her never to grow up. I didn't tell you.
Oh, that's not fair. Peter Pan. Well, dude, so I keep checking Facebook. I keep checking Instagram, and my phone's not loading.
All right.
So I think we should just land the plane with
land
that conversation,
It's been so much fun hearing from everybody on Instagram, and we continue to reach out to us, and we'll continue to have these conversations.
I love it.
time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
All right, buddy, let's end
All
this
right.
show so I can get more snow cones. What fun fact do you got to end this Ask Us Anything conversation?
Let's finish the conversation with this fun fact. Did you know many feet bones don't harden until you're an adult?
I sure did.
Feet are enormously complex parts of the body. Each foot contains 26 bones, as well as 33 joints and 19 muscles, which work together to allow a huge range of motion and movements. But many of these bones remain cartilage throughout a person's childhood, slowly ossifying into bone as the years go on. According to the Ontario Society of Chiropodists, I don't know if I said that right, but
Just be confident. No one will question
all
you.
of the bones in the foot don't completely harden until a person is about 21 years old.
Oh, I didn't know it was that late. I thought it was like teen.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So
almost 21 years
so
old.
your feet are so Brandon, your feet are still not fully hard yet, bro.
Yeah, so be careful.
Be careful with them feces. You know, feces? I almost said feces. That's different. That's gross. That's nasty. Actually, fun fact, Flo, did you know that your nose and your ears never stop growing?
I did. I think I actually mentioned that on a fun fact
So
on
I'm
the
very
episode.
nervous about how massive my nose is going to be when I get older. As long as my hair's bigger than my nose, I'll be okay.
You're going to have what Jewish people call a schnauzer.
A schnauzer.
You're going to have a schnauz.
I love it, bro. Well, dude, it's been so fun hanging out with you, my dude, over here in Gedi. And
Yeah,
hopefully
it's been
you
a lot
guys
of
have
fun.
enjoyed the conversation and the music and the background. Next year, we got to do an RTC meetup at
Yes,
Gedi, man.
Definitely.
So, Matt, you got to help us out, brother. You got to help us out.
But until then, if you want to see more episodes or get a hold of us or do whatever, go to realtalkchristianpodcast.com. There you can listen to every episode that we've ever recorded. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
What?
Yeah, we're still on Twitter. We just don't do much on
People
it.
asked if we were going to have a TikTok, and the answer is probably not. We ain't got time for that.
No, sorry. But make sure when you go over to YouTube to like and subscribe by hitting the little notification bell. Ding.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
wait,
dang.
do it again, Janelle.
Hi, Janelle. Janelle's taking a picture. Anyways, but yeah, go ahead and do that. And we're going to be putting out some special content here after the Gedi Music Festival, YouTube only. So that's the only place you'll be able to get to it.
I absolutely love it, man. If you ever have a question about the show and you're like, hey, I wonder if RTC did an episode on that, go to the website. Well, I don't make it too loud. Go to the website to realtalkchristianpodcast.com, and you can search our entire library for all those various fun conversations. I want to give another shout out to Matt.
Matt Grimm.
Dave? Is
and
his dad?
David Grimm.
And Matt, what's your brother's name?
Jonah.
I'm going to call him Rooster because he looks like Rooster from Top Gun. He got that
Jonah
mustache.
Grimm.
Real question, Matt. Did your brother grow that mustache just because he thought it was cool after Top Gun, or did he grow that before Top Gun?
Right.
That's the real question.
All right, anyways.
I love it. Let's end this playing, guys. So until next time.
Take it easy.